The bright flash of light in Earth's sky marked the arrival of the Galactic Council ships. It was the year 2087, and humanity was about to experience its first official contact with alien life. The massive vessel hovered above New York City, its metallic surface reflecting sunlight in patterns that mesmerize onlookers below. Ambassador Creel, representing the Council and the dominant Zorthan species, stepped onto Earth soil with 4 arms extended in what his briefing had told him was a human gesture of peace. His bluish skin and towering height caused gasps among the gathered crowd of officials and journalists. "We come to welcome Earth to the galactic community," Creel announced through his translator device. "The Galactic Council brings peace and prosperity to all civilized worlds." The UN Secretary-General shook one of Creel's hands cautiously. "Earth welcomes peaceful relations with our cosmic neighbors," she replied, her voice steadied despite her racing heart. Captain Daniel Wright watched the broadcast from the command center of Earth's Space Defense Force. His eyes narrowed as he studied the alien ships visible in the background. Something about their positioning seemed more tactical than diplomatic. "Run a deep scan on those vessels," he ordered his team. "I want to know their weapons capabilities." Lieutenant Olivia Grant nodded and began the scan. "Already on it, Captain." Something feels off about all this. Daniel had spent 15 years in space defense. His instincts had saved lives before, and right now, they were screaming danger. While Earth celebrated this historic moment, he ordered his small fleet to maintain high alert status. The celebrations continued for days. Creel and his delegation toured Earth capitals, spoke of technology exchanges, and promised a new era of advancement for humanity. World leaders, desperate for solutions to Earth's environmental and resource problems, eagerly signed preliminary agreements. Only a few voices urged caution. Daniel was one of them. "Their technology is at least 2 centuries beyond ours," he explained to the Defense Council. "Yet they're offering to share it for almost nothing in return. That makes no strategic sense." The council members shifted uncomfortably. "Captain Wright, we understand your concerns, but we can't risk offending our first alien allies based on suspicion alone," the chairman replied. 2 weeks after first contact, strange incidents began occurring. 3 satellites mysteriously failed. An orbital research station reported equipment disappearing. Security systems experienced unexplained outages. Daniel received a coded message from Olivia late one night. "Meet me at the old observatory. Found something." The abandoned mountain observatory was far from listening devices. Olivia was waiting with a portable computer when Daniel arrived. "I've been monitoring all communications to and from the council ships," she explained, fingers typing rapidly. "I caught this transmission yesterday. It took hours to partially decrypt." Daniel leaned forward to read the screen. The message was fragmented, but certain phrases stood out clearly. "Military capability assessment complete. Minimal threat. Resource extraction timeline. Containment protocols." "They're not here for friendship," Daniel said grimly. "This is a reconnaissance mission." Olivia nodded. "There's more. I've tracked unusual movements of council members. They're mapping our defense installations, water processing plants, and mineral extraction facilities." "Classic invasion preparation," Daniel muttered. "We need to warn the Secretary General." "They won't believe us without proof," Olivia replied. "The public is in love with the aliens. Politicians see solutions to Earth's problems. We need more evidence." Daniel stared at the night sky, where council ships glittered like new stars. "Then we'll get it. Start monitoring all council movements. I'll assemble a trusted team. We operate completely off the record." As they left the observatory, neither noticed the small drone hovering silently in the shadows, its camera focused on their faces, transmitting their images to a council ship in orbit. Ambassador Creel viewed the footage with his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Identify these humans," he ordered his security chief. "They may require special attention before our plans proceed." The countdown to betrayal had begun. 6 months had passed since first contact with the Galactic Council. Earth had embraced its new alien allies, with technology exchanges beginning and trade agreements signed. People celebrated this new era of intergalactic friendship. The attack came at dawn. Council ships, previously stationed in peaceful orbits, suddenly activated weapon systems and fired on Earth's major military installations. Orbital defense platforms exploded in silent bursts of fire and debris. Ground bases received no warning before energy beams cut through their command centers. Daniel Wright was reviewing satellite data when the first reports came in. Emergency alerts flooded his screen as bases worldwide fell silent. "They're hitting everything simultaneously," he shouted to his team. "This isn't random. It's a coordinated first strike." The Space Defense Headquarters shook as something hit nearby. Alarms blared through the complex. "Captain," a communications officer called out, "incoming transmission on all channels." Ambassador Creel's face appeared on the main screen, his expression cold and calculating. "People of Earth," he began, his translator making his voice eerily calm. "The Galactic Council has determined your planet possesses resources vital to our continued expansion. Your military resistance has been neutralized. Surrender all mining rights, water reserves, and rare elements immediately, or face extinction. You have 6 hours to comply." The transmission ended. Stunned silence filled the command center. "Get me the UN immediately," Daniel ordered. "Sir, the UN building in New York was among the first targets hit," came the grim reply. No survivors reported. Daniel slammed his fist on the console. "Activate Emergency Protocol Omega. All surviving units to fallback positions." Lieutenant Olivia Grant rushed into the command center, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. "Captain, they knew exactly where to hit us. Someone gave them our defense plans." "The diplomatic team," Daniel growled. "All those tours and meetings. They were mapping our weaknesses." The building shook again, harder this time. Ceiling panels crashed down around them. "We need to evacuate," Olivia said. "This facility is compromised." Daniel nodded grimly. "Grab the secure drives. We're heading to the mountain shelter." They raced through corridors filled with smoke and frightened personnel. Outside, the sky burned with the aftermath of orbital bombardments. Council ships hovered over major cities worldwide, their weapons aimed downward in silent threat. Daniel and Olivia reached the underground garage where a small group of officers waited with armored vehicles. "What's our plan, sir?" a young lieutenant asked, fear evident in his voice. "We survive," Daniel replied firmly. "Then we fight back." Their convoy escaped minutes before Council ground forces surrounded the base. Traveling back roads and mountain paths, they avoided alien patrols and made their way to the hidden Rocky Mountain facility. The scene at the emergency headquarters was one of organized chaos. Military personnel from different branches worked alongside civilian scientists and engineers. Displays showed the situation worldwide. Major cities under Council control, scattered resistance forming in remote areas. General Catherine Simmons, one of the few high-ranking officers to survive the initial attack, greeted them grimly. "Right, Grant. Glad you made it. We're gathering everyone we can." "What's our status?" Daniel asked. "Bad but not hopeless," the general replied. "They hit us hard, but their intelligence wasn't perfect. We have forces they missed, supplies they don't know about." Dr. Samuel Peters, a civilian scientist, approached with a tablet. "Captain Wright, I've been studying Council technology for months. I think I've found weaknesses we can exploit." For the first time since the attack, Daniel felt a spark of hope. "Show me." Olivia studied the gathered survivors. "They think they've won, that we'll just surrender." "Then they don't understand humans at all," Daniel said grimly. "We're not defeated. We're just getting started." Outside, Council ships continued their occupation, unaware that in bunkers, caves, and hidden facilities across the planet, humanity was preparing for a resistance unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 3 years had passed since the Galactic Council's treacherous attack on Earth. What the aliens had expected to be a quick surrender had become a grinding war of attrition against a human resistance that refused to die. The underground command center in the Rocky Mountains hummed with activity. Maps displayed Council occupation zones and resistance strongholds. General Catherine Simmons studied the latest intelligence reports with tired but determined eyes. "The Council is moving more troops into the Western Territories," she noted. "They're still looking for us." Daniel Wright entered the room, his once pristine uniform now worn and patched. Battle scars marked his face, but his eyes remained sharp and focused. "Let them look," he replied. "Our new stealth systems are working. Their scanners can't detect our bases." The resistance had grown from a handful of survivors into a global network. Cells operated in every occupied region, sharing intelligence through encrypted channels developed by Olivia Grant. Olivia had transformed from a military officer into the Resistance's spymaster. Her network of informants extended even into Council ranks, exploiting the growing divisions among the alien forces. "The Council is facing supply problems," she reported, joining them at the command table. Their homeworld expected this occupation to be profitable by now. Instead, it's draining their resources. Daniel nodded. "Aliens who came for easy plunder are learning humans don't surrender what's theirs." In the adjoining laboratory, Dr. Samuel Peters worked with a team of scientists examining Council technology. What had begun as simple reverse engineering had evolved into innovation. Humans weren't just copying alien tech, they were improving it. "The Council relies too heavily on their AI systems," Dr. Peters explained to Daniel during their daily briefing. "We'd found exploitable patterns in their code." "Can we use that?" Daniel asked. Dr. Peters smiled. "We already are. Their equipment failures aren't accidents. The Resistance had developed guerrilla tactics uniquely suited to fighting a technologically superior enemy." Daniel led space-based operations using modified Earth vessels and captured Council ships. His pilots had mastered hit-and-run attacks that confused and frustrated the aliens. "The Council expected us to fight conventionally," Daniel told his squadron leaders. "They didn't realize humans wrote the book on asymmetric warfare." Council ground forces faced constant harassment. Their patrols disappeared in mountain passes. Their supply depots exploded without warning. Their communication networks broadcast resistance messages they couldn't block. Ambassador Creel, now Governor of Earth, faced growing pressure from his superiors. In his heavily guarded headquarters, he raged at his subordinates. "How can these primitives cause so much trouble?" he demanded. "Find their bases, crush them completely." But the Council had made a critical mistake in their assessment of humanity. They had studied Earth's weapons and technology, but had failed to understand human psychology. Each atrocity the Council committed only strengthened human resolve. In secret facilities worldwide, the Resistance prepared for a major operation. New weapons designed specifically to target Zorthan biology were manufactured in hidden factories. Ships with modified stealth systems were assembled in underwater bases. General Simmons gathered the Resistance leadership to reveal their plan. "Operation Thunderstrike is ready," she announced. "After 3 years of gathering intelligence and developing weapons, we can finally take the fight to them." Daniel outlined the space component. "My teams will strike their orbital command stations simultaneously. Without those, their ground forces will be isolated." Olivia described the intelligence operations. "We've planted disinformation that will send their reserves to the wrong locations. My agents inside their systems will disable their security at the critical moment." Dr. Peters demonstrated the new weapons. "These target Zorthan neural systems specifically. Their shields can't block them." As the meeting concluded, Daniel looked at the faces around him. Engineers, soldiers, scientists, civilians, all had lost something to the invasion, yet all had found strength in resistance. "The Council thought they were dealing with a defeated species," he told them. "Tomorrow, they learn what happens when you corner humanity." The morning of Operation Thunderstrike arrived with a red dawn. Across the occupied Earth, Resistance fighters checked their weapons one final time. In mountain hideouts, forest bunkers, and underwater bases, humans prepared to reclaim their planet. Daniel Wright stood on the bridge of the Freedom, a captured council vessel modified with human ingenuity. Around him, a fleet of 30 similar ships waited in the shadow of Earth's moon, hidden from council sensors by Dr. Peters' stealth technology. "All ships report ready, Captain," his communications officer said. Daniel nodded. "Send the signal. Operation Thunderstrike begins now." Across Earth, the signal triggered simultaneous actions. In council-controlled cities, power grids suddenly failed. Communication networks went silent. Alien security systems displayed false alarms, sending guards rushing to non-existent threats. In orbit, Daniel's fleet emerged from hiding, weapons charged. The Council Orbital Command Station loomed ahead, a massive structure that coordinated the occupation of Earth. Its defenses were formidable, but its commanders were complacent after years without serious challenge. "Target their communication arrays first," Daniel ordered. "Then weapons, then engines. Execute attack pattern Delta." The human ships moved with surprising speed and coordination. Council defenders scrambled to respond, but found their systems responding sluggishly or not at all. On the station, alarms blared as multiple systems failed simultaneously. The commander, a high-ranking Zorthan, watched in disbelief as human vessels executed maneuvers his tactical computers claimed were impossible. "How are they bypassing our shields?" he demanded. His answer came as the first specialized weapons struck the station. These weren't conventional energy weapons or missiles. They were devices designed by Dr. Peters to target Zorthan biology directly. Waves of disruptive energy caused alien crew members to collapse in pain, unable to operate their stations. On Earth's surface, Olivia Grant led a team toward the Council headquarters, where Ambassador Creel directed the occupation. Her years-running intelligence networks had made her as much soldier as spy. "Security systems are down," she informed her team. "We have 15 minutes before backups activate." They moved through the compound's outer defenses without resistance, thanks to the electronic warfare specialists in her team. When they encountered guards, their weapons, designed to affect Zorthan neural systems, dropped the aliens without a fight. In cities worldwide, a coordinated uprising caught council forces by surprise. Humans who had appeared beaten and compliant suddenly revealed weapons and training. Resistance cells that had operated independently for years now moved in perfect synchronization. General Simmons directed the ground campaign from a mobile command center. "Reports coming in from all theaters," her aide reported. "Council forces are in disarray. Their communication and coordination is completely disrupted." "And their response?" Simmons asked. "Scattered and ineffective. Their command structure is collapsing." In orbit, Daniel's forces had captured the command station. Council defenders surrendered as their weapons failed and systems turned against them. Daniel strode through the captured control center, directing teams to secure vital systems. "Sir," his second-in-command reported, "Council reinforcement fleet detected at the edge of the system." Daniel smiled grimly. "Right on schedule. Activate the minefield." The approaching Council ships accelerated toward Earth, expecting to crush the human rebellion. Instead, they encountered thousands of stealth mines placed along their approach vector. Explosions rippled through their formation, destroying or disabling most vessels before they could respond. At Council headquarters, Olivia's team breached the central chamber where Ambassador Creel was attempting to organize a counterattack. His guards fell to precision fire. "Ambassador Creel," Olivia said, training her weapon on him, "in the name of humanity, you are under arrest for war crimes." The alien's 4 eyes blinked rapidly, and what she had learned was a sign of utter shock. "Impossible," he stammered. "You are primitives. You cannot defeat the Council." Olivia smiled coldly. "That's exactly what you were meant to think." Across Earth, Council forces were surrendering or retreating. Humans reclaimed their cities one by one as the carefully planned operation unfolded with devastating effectiveness. The tide of war had turned. Earth's revenge had begun. The liberation of Earth took just 8 days. Council forces, cut off from command and coordination, collapsed before the organized human resistance. Cities worldwide celebrated as alien occupiers retreated to their remaining ships and fled the system. In the captured orbital command station, renamed Vengeance, Daniel Wright surveyed holographic displays showing the aftermath of humanity's victory. Council ships burned in orbit. Alien ground bases had been captured intact, yielding valuable technology and intelligence. The last pockets of resistance are surrendering in Southeast Asia, reported his executive officer. Earth is officially free. Daniel nodded, but his expression remained serious. And the fleeing council ships? Tracked as ordered, sir. They're regrouping at Proxima Centauri. The victory over Earth had been only the first phase of humanity's plan. During 3 years of occupation, Dr. Peters and his team had decrypted council databases, revealing star maps, defense codes, and the locations of key alien worlds. Prepare the fleet, Daniel ordered. Phase 2 begins in 48 hours. On Earth, General Simmons and Olivia Grant interrogated Ambassador Creel. The once arrogant alien now slumped in his restraint chair, defeated. The Council will retaliate with overwhelming force, Creel warned. You have only won a temporary victory. Olivia smiled coldly. Is that what you believe? That we fought only to free Earth? She displayed images of human ships under construction in orbiting shipyards, vessels incorporating Council technology but modified with human innovations, weapons the aliens had never encountered. You came to our world, attacked without provocation, and expected us to submit, General Simmons said. You never bothered to study our history. If you had, you would know that humans don't stop at defense. Creel's 4 eyes widened as understanding dawned. You wouldn't dare attack Council space. You lack the capability to project force across such distances. Watch us, Olivia replied simply. 48 hours later, Daniel led humanity's first interstellar attack force toward Proxima Centauri. 100 ships, crewed by Earth's best, armed with weapons designed specifically to counter Council technology. The Council forces at Proxima had established a defensive perimeter, expecting Earth to remain on the defensive. They had no warning before human ships emerged from faster-than-light travel directly among their formation. All ships engage as planned, Daniel ordered calmly. Show them what humanity is capable of. The battle lasted less than an hour. Council commanders, accustomed to fighting enemies who used predictable tactics based on Council military doctrine, found themselves facing humans who fought with improvisation and unexpected maneuvers. When it ended, the Council base at Proxima Centauri was under human control, and another valuable cache of intelligence had been captured. Sir, Daniel's communications officer reported, we've intercepted Council transmissions. They're calling an emergency session on their capital world. They still don't believe we can reach them. Daniel studied the star chart showing the route to the Zorthan homeworld. Send word to Earth. We need the Second Fleet to join us immediately. Back on Earth, General Simmons addressed the newly reformed United Nations. Representatives from every nation listened as she outlined humanity's response to the Council threat. For 3 years, they occupied our world, she said. They killed millions. They expected us to submit. Instead, we studied them. We learned their weaknesses. And now we will ensure they can never threaten Earth again. The assembly erupted in applause. After years of helplessness, humanity had found its strength. In orbit, Dr. Peters supervised the loading of special weapons onto the Second Fleet. These weren't designed for destruction, but for a more sophisticated purpose. These will bypass their planetary shields completely, he explained to Olivia as she prepared to join the attack force. Their defense systems won't detect them until it's too late. Olivia nodded. And the target coordinates. All Council homeworlds, with special focus on their government centers. He handed her a data crystal. This contains everything you'll need. As the Second Fleet prepared to depart, Ambassador Creel watched from his cell with growing horror. He had finally understood what his people had awakened on this seemingly primitive world. It wasn't just a species capable of defending itself. It was a species that, once attacked, would ensure such an attack could never happen again. The Galactic Council had convened an emergency session on the Zorthan homeworld. Representatives from the 12 dominant species gathered in the Grand Chamber, their voices raised in alarm and confusion. "These humans cannot possibly reach our core systems," insisted Councillor Vex, pounding his fist on the polished table. "Their technology is centuries behind ours." High Commander's Wrath, leader of the Council military forces, displayed tactical projections. "The loss of Earth and Proxima Centauri is unfortunate but containable. We have positioned our fleet to prevent any further incursions." The debate continued for hours, with some counseling immediate retaliation and others suggesting diplomatic solutions. None believed humans posed a serious threat to the heart of Council space. The chamber's warning systems activated without warning. Red lights pulsed along the walls as automated voices announced. "Unidentified vessels detected in orbit. Defense grid activated." Counselors rushed to the viewing screens in disbelief. Above their supposedly impregnable world hovered a fleet of ships, human ships, modified with Council technology, but distinctly Earth-designed. "Impossible," whispered High Commander's Wrath. "Our early warning systems should have detected them days ago." In the lead vessel, Daniel Wright stood on the bridge of the Retribution, humanity's new flagship. His fleet had bypassed the Council's detection grid using Dr. Peters' revolutionary stealth system. "Open a channel to the surface," he ordered. "Let's show them who they're dealing with." On the planet below, the Council chamber's main screen activated. Daniel's face appeared, calm and resolute. "Attention, Galactic Council. I am Captain Daniel Wright of Earth. Your forces invaded our world, killed our people, and expected us to submit. That was your first mistake." Panic spread through the Council chamber. Security forces rushed to protect the counselors while defense operators frantically tried to target the human ships. "Your planetary shields are already compromised," Daniel continued. "Your defense grid has been disabled. Your fleet is currently engaged with our second battle group at your system's edge." Olivia Grant stood beside him, her ice cold as she addressed the aliens who had orchestrated Earth's suffering. "We could destroy your world right now, just as you threatened to destroy ours. But unlike you, we offer a choice." In orbit, human ships deployed Dr. Peters' specialized weapons, not planet killers, but precision instruments that targeted the Council's military and communication infrastructure. Key defense installations across the Zorthan homeworld went silent. Government centers lost power. Military bases found their weapons systems locked down by advanced human-designed AI. Similar scenarios played out across Council space as Earth's coordinated attack hit multiple worlds simultaneously. Species that had participated in Earth's subjugation now faced the consequences. On several worlds, enslaved populations witnessed their Council overlords suddenly powerless. These beings, suppressed for generations, looked to the human ships with something close to reverence. High Commander's Wrath attempted to organize a counterattack, but found his elite units unable to respond. "What have they done to our systems?" he demanded. "They've turned our own technology against us," a technician responded, "and added modifications we don't understand." Daniel watched from orbit as Council resistance crumbled. "Begin Phase 3, he ordered. Landing ships descended toward the Zorthan capital. They carried not just soldiers, but also evidence, records of Council atrocities, not just against Earth, but dozens of other worlds. In the Council chamber, Olivia personally presented their terms to the stunned alien leadership. "Unconditional surrender," she stated flatly. "Complete withdrawal from all occupied territories, reparations to Earth, and all other worlds you've subjugated." Councillor Vex found his voice. "And if we refuse?" "There is no refusal," Olivia replied. "There is only how much you lose before accepting the inevitable." To emphasize her point, a precision strike demolished the empty military headquarters nearby, the explosion visible through the chamber windows. As the dust settled, Daniel addressed the council again. You thought us primitive because our technology lagged behind yours. You never considered that a species that survived countless wars, environmental disasters, and its own self-destructive tendencies might be more dangerous than any you've encountered. The council representatives looked at each other, then at the human representatives standing confidently before them. Slowly, the Zorthan Prime Counselor rose to his feet. The Galactic Council, he said, his voice trembling slightly, surrenders to Earth. 5 years had passed since the Council's surrender. The galaxy had changed in ways few could have imagined before Earth's dramatic rise to power. The new Galactic Alliance headquarters on Earth's moon stood as a symbol of this transformation. Representatives from over 30 species gathered in its grand chamber, their voices a mixture of languages as they debated policy and resource allocation. Admiral Daniel Wright, now commander of Earth's expanded interstellar fleet, gazed out the viewport at the blue-green planet below. His uniform bore the insignia of humanity's new position, protectors of a reformed galactic order. Quite a view, isn't it? Asked a familiar voice. Daniel turned to see Olivia Grant approach. Her role as Director of Alliance Intelligence had made her one of the most respected and feared humans in the galaxy. Sometimes I still can't believe how far we've come, Daniel replied. From nearly conquered to galactic leadership in less than a decade. The Council never understood what they were unleashing, Olivia said. They saw our technological limitations but missed our greatest strength. Adaptability, Daniel nodded, and a certain stubbornness when backed into a corner. The Alliance chamber below them was preparing for its annual session. Former Council worlds now operated under Earth oversight, with human governors ensuring compliance with Alliance regulations. It was not gentle rule, but it was fair, fairer than the Council had ever been. Dr. Samuel Peters entered the observation deck, datapad in hand. As head of the Technological Exchange Program, he oversaw the careful sharing of advanced science between Alliance members. The Krell delegation is asking again about weapons technology, he reported. Daniel shook his head. Not yet. They're still too unstable politically. I agree, Olivia added. My agents report growing extremist factions in their outer colonies. This was the delicate balance of Earth's new role, encouraging growth and cooperation while preventing threats from emerging. Former Council species chafed under restrictions, but none dared challenge human authority after witnessing Earth's devastating response to aggression. In a secure wing of the Alliance headquarters, former Ambassador Creel lived in comfortable but permanent confinement. His quarters served as both prison and office, where he advised human leaders on Council history and politics. The humans are not what we thought, Creel told a visiting journalist documenting the war's aftermath. We saw a technologically primitive species and assumed intellectual and strategic primitiveness as well. It was the worst miscalculation in Council history. That interview would join historical archives viewed by billions across Alliance space, a cautionary tale of underestimating humanity. On planets formerly oppressed by Council rule, human assistance had brought freedom and development. The Drayans, a species enslaved for generations, now sent their own ships to trade with Earth. The Valyrians, whose resources had been stripped by Council mining, found humans helping restore their ecosystem. These grateful species became Earth's strongest allies, their representatives in the Alliance fiercely loyal to the humans who had liberated them. In Earth orbit, the memorial to those lost during the occupation drew visitors from across the galaxy. Its simple design, a sphere of polished black stone with the names of the fallen etched in light, spoke to the cost of humanity's rise to power. General Catherine Simmons, now in her 70s but still commanding respect, often brought new Alliance military officers here. Never forget what started this, she would tell them, her hand touching the memorial. We didn't seek galactic power. We sought survival, then justice. We must remain worthy of the sacrifice that brought us here. As the Alliance session opened, Daniel took his place among Earth's Leadership Council. The challenges ahead were significant: maintaining peace, preventing former council species from rebuilding military strength, developing fair trade practices across vastly different economies. Yet as he surveyed the chamber, seeing formerly hostile species now working together under human guidance, he felt a measure of pride. Earth had transformed from victim to leader, turning vicious revenge into something more lasting. A new galactic order based on strength tempered with justice. The galaxy once saw us as primitive curiosities, Daniel told the assembled representatives. Then they feared us as vengeful conquerors. Now they will know us as firm but fair guardians of a peace that benefits all who respect it. Across the stars, species that had once dismissed humans now watched Earth with newfound respect and a healthy measure of fear. The lesson had been learned at terrible cost. Never underestimate the species that calls Earth home.